it's Tina and I am back, and I am here with a full-on swatch fest for you guys. It's going to be makeup porn right now because I am showcasing the new ColourPop pressed eyeshadows, and I picked up quite a few of these. You'll see I have tons of the neutral shades, tons of the colorful ones, and I separated out a couple so I could show you some of the ones I would recommend. So we're gonna jump into the swatches, but I'm gonna leave timestamps down below and also timestamps right here so you can follow along, skip to whichever part of the video you want to skip ahead to. So we're gonna do swatches first, but at the end of the swatches I am going to run through the price of these eyeshadows. So we'll run through prices, compare them against other brands. We'll also do the purchasing, and we'll do the packaging as well, because why not? Then I'll run through the performance. So I'll go through how these apply, how these wear, and what I feel about the overall formula down here. So let's go ahead and jump right into the swatches. I will be swatching these eyeshadows on my arm over a very light layer of eyeshadow primer. This is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, and this is just in the throwback packaging. And then I'll be applying the swatches using these two eye shader brushes. We have one from e.l.f., it's just their eye shader brush. And then from Sigma, we have the E55, which is their eye shading brush. The first shade up is Full Zip. This is described as a warm ivory. This is a matte peachy ivory shade, and it has decent color payoff, and it applies pretty nicely without skipping. Then we have the shade Locked and Loaded. This is described as a matte pale yellow. This one is a yellow ivory shade. As you can see, you can definitely see the yellow undertones next to the first shade. And this one again is a smooth, really creamy matte shade. Next we have the shade Issues, which is described as a matte pastel peach. This one is a light peachy orangey tone, which would be great for warmer complexions. Then we have the shade Take It Slow. This one is a metallic warm champagne. This one is a shimmery peachy champagne shade. I wouldn't consider it metallic because it's not very foiled or that pigmented. It's more of a soft frost shade. Then we have the shade Ringer. This one is described as a metallic warm champagne. This one has a little bit more peach to it, and it's a little bit stronger in pigmentation. These two shades do take some building up. They're very, very similar shades, with Ringer just being a touch more peachy. Next up is Take a Break, which is described as a duochrome peach with a subtle gold flip. This one is definitely a more warm toned peach color. It has a little bit of a golden pinky sheen to it, and it's more of a satin finish than a full-on frosty metallic. Then we have Play by Play, which is described as a duochrome peach with a green gold flip. This one is more of a peachy gold shade, and it has that duochrome like vintage green gold shift to it. It's not the most pigmented. It's a little bit more on the satin side. It's not really very metallic. Now here we have Running Late. This one is described as a matte creamy orange. This one is definitely more of a matte sorbet orange shade, and I actually really like this one for blending in the crease for warm looks. Then we have Paper Tiger. This one is described as a matte mustard. This one is a creamy, dirty mustard shade, and I really like this one again for blending in the crease. If you're into mustard shades, this is a really nice one to have. Then we have IOU. This is described as a matte mid-tone orange. And this one is almost exactly as it's described. It's a mid-tone orange shade, another great one for warm tone looks. Here we have Note to Self. This one is described as a matte warm caramel. It's a beautiful matte orangey caramel brown shade, and it's a great shade for working in the crease as a transition shade or to build up dimension in neutral looks. Then we have the shade Conundrum. This one is described as a matte warm brown. This one is more of a deeper milk chocolate brown shade. Again, a great one for neutral looks and blending in the crease. And then this final shade is Bel Air. It's described as a matte cool taupe. This one is another matte medium brown, but it has a hint more gray undertone to it, which makes it more of a taupey shade and more of a neutral tone. It's not really very pigmented, so it would work great as a transition crease shade. So here again are all those shades swatched. These are the ivory shades and the light shimmery champagnes with a little bit of the medium tone browns tossed in and a couple of warmer tone neutrals as well. I really do like the ivory shades, and we have a peachy one, more of a regular ivory and more of a yellow tone. Then the two champagne shades there, I think you can do without one if you're looking for a champagne. And then the one next to it is more of a peachy one. Then we have that shimmery shade that shifts a little bit green. And then finally are the matte shades that I really enjoy. These are nice transition shades. They're smooth and they're buildable. They're not the most pigmented shades. You do have to build them up, but I like them as transition shades, especially in warm looks. And these don't apply patchy at all. They're not dry or chalky. And they're definitely more of a loose powdery formula. So you will get some fallout from them and a lot of loose kick up from your eyeshadows when you pick them up on your brush. But overall, I do like these shades. The shimmers aren't really impressive because they're not very metallic. The first shade up is Hear Me Out. This is described as a matte white peach. This is a matte light peach shade. It would actually work great on lighter skin tones as a transition color, and it's a great color for a highlight as well. Next up we have Out of Luck. This is described as a matte peachy pink. This is also another peachy shade, but it has a touch of pink to it as well. And these two colors do layer up quite nicely, and they'll work great as transition shades or highlight shades for darker skin versus lighter skin. Then we have the shade Firefly. This is described as a matte pale beige. Now this is more of a beigey nude shade. Again, another great shade for a transition on lighter skin tone or as a highlight on darker skin. But this one is a little bit more beigey, a little bit more nude. You can see those three colors. One is more of a light peach, one is a little bit more pinky, and then one is a little bit more neutral beige. Then we have Let Me Explain. This is described as a metallic ivory. This one to me is more of a light golden champagne with a touch of peach to it. Then we have Liar Liar, which is described as a metallic pale pink. This one is more of a chunky, shimmery, light pink. It's a little bit more chunky, so you do have to press to really smooth it out on the skin. Then we have Pep Talk, which is described as a metallic icy peach. This one is another chunkier shimmer, so it doesn't quite go on very smoothly, but it is more of a peachy shade with a little bit of golden shimmer to it. Not exactly my favorite texture from the lineup. Then we have Ego, which is described as a metallic rosy taupe. This one is more of a rose gold shade, and it's a little bit smoother than the other two shades. You can see it's a little bit more of a smooth frost rather than this chunky shimmer. Then we have Time Out. Time Out is described as a duochrome peach with a pink flip. This one is another smoother shimmer texture, but you do have to build it up. It's more of a sheer highlight shade. Next up is Just in Time. This is described as a satin soft gold. This one reminds me of Motif eyeshadow from MAC. It's a sheer yellow gold with a peachy shift to it. It's a very beautiful color, and the golden undertone really stands out. I actually really like that one. Here we have You Know the Drill. This one is described as a metallic bronze. This one to me is more of a medium shimmery tan shade. It's not really a deep bronze at all. It's just a light browny gold shade, or like a tan bronze. And then we have Save It for Later, which is described as a metallic amber. This one is a smooth metallic shade, and it's a beautiful rich golden amber with a little bit of peach shift. It's really gorgeous, really smooth, and has great pigmentation. This is one of the better shimmer shades from this selection of shades that we just swatched. So here you have an overall look at those shades. The three matte shades at the start are very beautiful, love those shades. Then we come into some more chunkier shimmer shades, and then the last three shimmer shades are really beautiful. So the middle shades are not really my favorite texture, but here you have the lighter pinky shades and some light champagnes and light bronzes. Moving on to more of the pinky rosy hues, we have the shade I Do, which is described as a matte baby pink. This is a matte rosy pink shade, and it does take some building up, but it's a nice, just muted pink shade if you're going for a more pink look. Then we have Dreamboat. This one is described as a matte dusty rose. And that is exactly what it is. And this builds up really nicely. It has decent pigmentation. And I think this one would be a nice color for cool tone pinky looks. Now we have Soft Core, which is described as a matte warm pink. And that's exactly what it is. It's more of a warm tone, almost corally pink. And again, another beautiful one. It would actually work really pretty as a blush as well. Next we have the shade Bouquet Toss. This one is described as a metallic pinky peach. And this one is, just like it says, a metallic pinky peach shade. It reminds me of the other shimmery shades that we swatched before, but it has a little bit more of a pinky hue to it. Then we have Come and Get It. This one is a duochrome rose. This one is a little flaky and a little bit loose, but it's a shimmery pink with a golden undertone. And this is similar to Expensive Pink from MAC. Next up we have Flower Boy. This one is described as a matte hot peachy pink. I like that description because it does come off as a very hot, almost salmon pink. So again, another nice blush shade, and this one would work great for any of those bright pinky looks you're going for. Here we have the shade Centerfold, which is described as a matte vibrant coral. This one has a warning that it's not intended for use around the immediate eye area. So there's something in this formula that is not passed by the FDA for use around the eyes. But this one is a bright orangey coral, and I actually really like that one as well. Then we have the shade Wait For It. This one is described as a matte hot peach. Now this one doesn't have the warning, so if you wanted one that was safe for the eye area, here's another one. But it's a little bit more muted, and it's definitely still a peach shade, but it's a more muted, less corally matte peach shade. Then we have the shade Cutouts, which is described as a matte dusty coral. This one is a deeper orangey coral shade. So you're moving up in depth now. So if you wanted a deeper corally orange, there you have it. And this would also work well on deeper skin tones. Next we have the shade Making Moves. This one is described as a matte hot coral. This one has a little bit more of a hot pink or a reddish undertone. And it's a beautiful shade with good pigmentation as well. Then we have the shade Slim Fit. This one is described as a matte hot red coral. And again, not intended for use around the immediate eye area. I think this has to do with the neon pigments that's in these brighter shades. This one is a very neon bright orangey shade. I actually really like that shade, and I'm going to apply it around my eye area. And it has nice pigmentation again. So here again you have those rosy pinky shades and some bright corally peaches. The rosy tones definitely have a difference in undertone and depth. The shimmery shades are not my favorite. They're a little bit flaky and a little bit dusty, and they're not really that pigmented. You do have to build them up. But these peachy bright shades, oh my god, I love these. Some of them are very similar, so depending on what you're going for, you would select the shade that best appeals to you. And a couple of them also are not intended for use around the eye area. So if you're a little bit skeptical about the neon ingredients, then you would skip out on those brighter, more neon shades for sure. Moving into more of the deeper berries and cranberry shades, we have the shade Wake Up Call. This one is described as a matte warm sand. This one is a medium tone tan nude shade. Takes a little bit of building up. It's not the greatest pigmentation, but it would work well as a transition shade for warm looks because it has a more peachy undertone. Then we have Secrets, which is described as a matte pale baby pink. This one is a medium toned rosy pink. It's a little bit powdery, so you do have to build it up, but it does build up beautifully, and it has great opacity once you layer it up, and it's a really beautiful pink shade. Then we have another pinky shade. This is On the Fence. It's described as a frosty pink. This one is definitely a more sheer color, and it's not very frosty or metallic. It's more like a satin light pink shade, and it's very sheer, and it's just not one of the better shades from the collection. Next up we have the News. This one is described as a matte warm rose. This one for me is more of a peachy tan shade with a little bit more of a rosy undertone. It doesn't strike me as a rose. It's more of a peachy tan shade with that pinky undertone, like a rosy undertone. Has great pigmentation and actually layers up pretty nicely. Next up is the shade Labyrinth. This is described as a matte dusty pink. This one is more of a dusty, rosy nude shade. It doesn't have the same amount of pigmentation as the last shade, but it's still a pretty decent shade if you want to just use it as a transition in the crease. Then we have Sauvage. This one is described as a duochrome peach with a hot pink flip. This one again is a chunkier texture, but it smooths out pretty nicely. It's more on the sheer side, so you do have to build it up, but I would use this as more of a highlight color or just a wash of color over the lid. It's a very beautiful peachy pink shimmer shade. Then we have Top Notch, which I think I already swatched, but I'm going to swatch it again. Then we have the shade Poodle. This one is described as a matte, vibrant, true pink. This one is a bold raspberry pink, and it's a little bit sheer, but with this kind of color, I don't think you really want it to be too pigmented, but you can definitely still build it up and layer it up to a decent pigmentation, and it's a really bright, bold pink. You can even use this as a blush shade. And then we have the shade Pebbles, which is described as a satin yellowy pink. This one is more of a cranberry shade with a little bit of a golden shift to it. It's a little sheer in pigmentation, but it has smooth color payoff. It's not really a choppy or chunky shade. So if you were looking for more of a salmon-y looking pink, here's one for you. So here again are those medium tone tan, terracotta, and pinky rose tone shades. Moving into more of the deeper berries and cranberry shades, we have the shade Stay Golden. This one is described as a matte raspberry. This is a deep burnt red cranberry shade. It's great for those of you that like warmer looks. It does come off a little bit patchy, so I can see you having to build this up and layer it. Then we have the shade Fair Play. This is described as a matte hot pink. This one to me is more of a bright raspberry pink. It definitely has a little bit of that fuchsia red undertone while still being pink. And this one takes a little bit of building up again, but it applies smoothly. It does sheer out in certain spots, so again, another shade you would have to build up. Here we have the shade Pretty Cruel, which is described as a matte berry mauve with gold flecks. This one is a dusty, rosy purple, like a muted purple shade with yellow gold flecks. I really don't like this texture. It's very dusty, very glittery, and it's chunky. And that glitter isn't really going to stick in place, so it's a bit unnecessary. I don't really like this one at all. Next we have Pinky Promise. This one is described as a metallic wine. This one is a lot smoother than the other metallic shades that I picked up, and it's a lot richer in pigmentation. And as you can see, it goes on in a one swipe. It's really buttery. I really like this texture. I wish the other ones were the same way. This shade is Going Steady. It's described as a matte dusty wine. This one is more of a berry purple shade or a berry deep wine shade. Yeah, it is a wine shade with more of a purple undertone to it. Again, a nice one. It applies very smoothly, has good pigmentation. This hair is 143. It's described as an intense matte deep lilac. This is what I would describe as an orchid shade. It's a bright vivid purple with a strong pinky berry undertone. It does come off a little bit sheer in spots, but that's typical with purple shades, but it does have nice color payoff. So here's a more up close view of those berry tones and cranberry shades. I actually do like these tones. I think they build up pretty nicely. Some of them you do have to layer to get a little bit more color payoff, and they can come off a little bit streaky, but overall I do like these tones. Next, I'm going to do some more neutral shades. This is the shade Sidetracked. It's described as a matte terracotta with gold flecks. This is another shade with those gold flecks that I just don't like. It makes the texture a little bit drier and a little bit more flaky and dusty. Now we have Top Notch. This is described as a matte terracotta brown. This one is a deeper, richer, more orange tone brown shade. And it has decent color payoff and it applies a lot more smoothly than the other shade. Here we have the shade Popular Demand. This one is described as a matte red brown. This one is a matte rich brown with more of a burnt orange or a reddish undertone. Again, a beautiful color. It's a little bit powdery as all these shades actually are, so it does flake off a little bit, but it has great pigmentation there. Next we have the shade Crisscross. This is described as a matte brick orange. This one is a bold orangey toned. It's a dirty orange. It's really beautiful. If you're into warm tone looks, that's a great orangey shade to have. And here's a more up close view of those medium toned orangey browns as well. Overall, I do like these shades. They do apply nicely. The only ones I don't like are those ones with the glittery flecks in them. They're just too chunky, too flaky, and just not worth the trouble with the fallout. Moving on to some more neutral shades. First up, we have the shade High Strung. This is described as a metallic dusty rose. You can see that the metallic shades are a little bit more flaky, but this one is, oh wow, this one is so beautiful. Look how shiny and metallic this one is, and it applies very smoothly without being chunky. Next we have the shade Boxer. This one is described as a metallic deep bronze. This one is a dark shimmery bronze. It's a beautiful deep chocolatey brown bronze. And again, this one applies smoothly, so I don't know what's the issue with the other shimmer shades that come off a little bit more flaky. Here we have Cloud 9. This one is described as a matte plummy brown. This one is a deep matte chocolatey brown, really rich in pigmentation. And it has somewhat of a deep, almost bruised looking undertone to it. It's a really great shade for deepening up the crease. Here we have Take the Lead. This one is described as a matte dusty medium gray. And this one is just a muted gray taupey shade. It's a nice color as well, has great pigmentation. If you're looking for a cool tone neutral, this is actually a pretty nice one. Here we have the shade Goody Two Shoes. This one is described as a metallic gunmetal. This one is a little bit more chunky. It's not a smooth metallic. It's a little bit more of a looser frosty shade, but it has like a silver shimmer to it, and it's a gunmetal silver shade. So here's a look at those more neutral tones. Again, those two first metallics are so beautiful. They're so creamy, so pigmented, really creamy shades. And then you have the two mattes, which are pretty decent, and then that charcoal gunmetal shade that's a little bit shimmery and a little bit flaky, but it's a decent shade, nothing too life-changing. Moving on to more of the mossy green shades. The first up is Game Changer. This one is described as a metallic icy moss. This one is kind of the same texture as that gunmetal shade. It's just a frosty shade. It's more of a muted light icy ivory shade with just a hint of yellow gold undertone. It's like a dirty pewter. And then here we have Checkmate. This one is described as a matte seafoam green. This one is a very light seafoam, almost pastel green shade. Takes a bit of building up. It's not really the most pigmented shade, but if you're looking for a light green, that's not too bad at all. Here we have the shade Up and Up. This one is described as a duochrome teal with a green flip. This one is a deeper, richer, smoother, more ivory tone green with a little bit of a golden undertone. It applies a little bit more smoothly. It's still just a frosty shade. It's not as creamy as the bronze shade, but it's still a very nice seafoam green. This one has a better texture than the other shimmers that we've swatched so far. Now we have Sideline. This is described as a duochrome eggplant with a green flip. This one is an interesting shade. It's like a dirty brown undertone with a golden green duochrome to it. It's actually a very interesting shade. I do like that one. Now here we have Team Captain, which is described as a matte medium olive. I would consider this a deep olive green shade. It's a really beautiful, deep, dark, blackened green. I actually really like it. It's more like a forest green shade. So again, here are the more greeny, ivory, mossy shades. I actually like all of these shades. They're pretty decent. If you're looking for greens and you're looking for ivories, here are some shades to pick up. But my favorite would be the Team Captain because that rich, dark, black and green has really good pigmentation. And again, here's a look at all of those shades swatched. Some nice neutrals, some decent greens, and a couple of gunmetal shades. Moving on to more medium tone shades, we have the shade Get Out, which is described as a matte cool cranberry. And if you haven't seen that movie yet, you need to go ahead and see it because it's hilarious, and then you will get all the jokes that people are talking about when they say somebody's in a sunken place. This one is a matte, I would consider this like a matte berry rose shade. It's a little bit sheer, but you can build it up and you can definitely use that in warm toned looks. Then we have the shade Cute Alert. This one is described as a matte deep burgundy. This is a beautiful matte burnt, I would almost call it like a blackberry shade because it has that purpley undertone, but it's a deep subdued nude shade. It is a little bit powdery, but a lot of the matte shades are powdery from this line. And then we have the shade Double Date. This one is described as a metallic lavender. This one is a beautiful muted lavender shade. It's almost like a pinky lavender. It's really beautiful and the pigmentation is good and you can build it up, and it's definitely not one of the chunky shimmer shades. Then we have the shade Take the Lead, which is described as a matte dusty medium gray. This one is a matte medium toned gray shade. It's actually a really nice color if you want to do like a neutral look or if you want to do more of a cool tone smoky eye. Now I'm going to move into some of the colorful shades that they release for their spring and summer collections. We have the shade Tiki, which is described as a matte warm yellow with flecks of gold. This is like a very pale sunshine yellow. It's not really pigmented. It is a little bit sheer, so you do have to build it up. And it is powdery, so it does want to kind of dust away. But it is a nice subtle yellow shade if you don't want to be too over the top with a yellow. Then we have the shade Best Coast Scenario. This is described as a matte bright tangerine, and this one is not recommended for use around the eyes. This one is a really beautiful, bright, almost neon coral shade, hence it's not safe for eye use. And you can also use it as a blush shade. Then we have the shade Oh Ship. Oh Ship! This shade is described as a matte, bright scarlet. I like that play on words. This is a very bold, very bright, matte, almost like a tomato red shade. It has a ton of orangey undertone and it's really beautiful, really intense, and it has great color payoff and great pigmentation. It's really smooth. I really like that shade. Then we have the shade For Sure. This is described as a matte neon warm pink. This one is another bright neon shade. It's more of a raspberry pink. It's very beautiful, very bold. Again, a very nicely pigmented shade as well. And then here we have Sandbar. This one is described as a matte neon cool pink, and this one is also marked as not eye safe. This is a really bright neon pink. I love this. This is more of like a fuchsia pink because of that bold, bright, almost like a cool undertone, like a hint of purpley undertone. It's really intense, really pigmented, really beautiful, and I'm gonna use it around my eyes. I don't care. I will take the chance. And then last up in these pinky summery shades is Seize the Day. This one is also not eye safe and it's described as a matte bright fuchsia. I really like the play on words with these shade names. These ones are like a beachy or ocean theme. This one is similar to the other pinky shades, but it's more subdued, more of a raspberry pink again, but it's more of a deeper raspberry pink, almost leaning onto the red side. Then we're gonna wrap it up with the blue shades. We have the shade Lost and Found. This is described as a matte sky blue. I would almost describe this one as a periwinkle blue because it isn't really a pale light sky blue, but it's more of a medium tone blue with a hint of purple undertone. And again, nice pigmentation. It applies really smoothly and it's a beautiful color. Like, look at that, really pretty. Then next in the blues we have Piece of Cake, which is described as a matte dusty indigo, and that is exactly what it is. It's more of a dusty indigo blue shade. It's a little bit more sheer than the other shades that we've swatched so far. It does take some building up, so it's not really intense, not really my favorite shade from the collection. And then last up, we have Backseat. This one is described as a metallic, deepened aquamarine. This one for me is more of a blackened teal shade. It's a beautiful color, but it's a little bit sheer again in pigmentation, and it's not really that metallic or frosty, but it's a smoother satiny frost shade than those chunky shimmer shades that we swatched before. And here again are those final shades swatched. These are the bold, colorful shades in the lineup. We have some bright pinky shades, some bright orangey shades, and some blues tossed in along with some of the more purpley shades. Some of these shades are of course not safe for eye use because of the neon color additives that they used in here, but you can use them on the cheeks, or you can be risky like I am and actually use them on your eyes. I wanted to show you what I meant by these eyeshadows being powdery and a little bit loose in texture. As you can see from just swatching these, they kick up a lot of excess powder, and this is going to cause fallout. It's going to make your palettes a little bit more dusty and messy, but you can tap off your brush to get rid of the excess so you can minimize fallout. Alright guys, so now that you have seen the swatches and you have an idea of how these eyeshadows perform and apply, let's go ahead and jump into the review. And as usual, I like to start out with the price point of these eyeshadows, and these retail for $5 each, and they contain 1.5 grams of product or 0.05 ounces, which is the typical size of a small eyeshadow on the market. So think about the MAC eyeshadows, the Urban Decay single eyeshadows. They're around the 0.05 ounce mark. Now, some of those brands that I mentioned do have a similar price point to the ColourPop eyeshadows, but ColourPop has kind of touted itself as one of the more affordable indie brands on the market. Indie meaning independent brands that are kind of a grassroots brand that started from the ground up with independent owners that don't fall under any corporate umbrella like Estee Lauder or L'Oreal. And they are made in the USA, specifically located in the LA region, and they have cruelty-free vegan products available. So they're a pretty decent price point, but like I said, there are other brands on the market now that are competing price-wise with ColourPop. For instance, with Makeup Geek eyeshadows, they're another indie brand, and their eyeshadows retail for $6 a pop, and they contain 1.8 grams or 0.64 ounces of product. So they contain a little bit more product, and they cost $1 more. Now that difference in size may not be that significant to you, because if you use a single eyeshadow, you know it takes forever to run through them and hit pan. So unless you're using these eyeshadows daily, that difference in sizing doesn't really matter, but you're paying $1 more for Makeup Geek. For MAC single eyeshadows, those are also $6 a piece, and they're the same size as the ColourPop eyeshadows at 0.05 ounces. So we're talking about $1 more for a more reputable brand, one that falls under a bigger umbrella, but MAC eyeshadows are not considered cruelty-free because they do sell in China. We also have the Colored Rain eyeshadows, which are another indie brand. Those retail for $6.99, and those are the same size as the Makeup Geek eyeshadows, so they contain a little bit more product at the 0.064 ounces a piece. Now, I love Colored Rain eyeshadows, and I definitely think they're worth that price point. So I don't really see paying $6.99 as too much of a bother, and they do have discount codes available, so you can get a 10% discount off your purchase if you purchase Colored Rain eyeshadows. Now, if we compare it to other higher end brands and mid-range brands, then of course this is completely out of the price bracket. So overall, I think this is a nice price point for ColourPop. It's still an affordable price point, and it may not be the most value for your money size-wise, but you still get a decent amount of product. And I mean, it's the size of a small eyeshadow. When was the last time you ran out of a small eyeshadow or hit pan? It's not very frequent that you do that, and at $5 it's a little bit more digestible to buy multiples of a color that you really love if you do hit pan. Now, as I mentioned, these are available for purchase on the ColourPop website. So these are an online only brand, and they do have free shipping over $35 for the USA. And they've since added more international countries that they ship to. So some of you guys that haven't been able to get your hands on ColourPop, they're now available for shipment to your country. So check the website and see what countries they ship to and see if they ship to your country. And with a purchase of 4 of the eyeshadows, you do get a free 4-pan palette that you can put these in, but it's a limit of 1 per purchase. So if you buy 8 of the eyeshadows, you're not going to get 2 of the palettes. You only get 1 per purchase. But what I found is that ColourPop is doing more sales now and discount codes. So usually you could sign up for their email program and get $5 off your first purchase, but now they're doing like 20% off sales a lot, and you can get coupon codes all the time. So look out for that. They also include other free items with purchase, so you can get a free eyeshadow. Like they're running a birthday week where you get a free eyeshadow. That's their birthday limited edition super shock eyeshadow. You can get those with your purchase. You can get a free brush. So there are different discount codes and coupons that you can use to get a little bit more value for your money. Now, with online only brands, you do have to be careful about their return policy. With ColourPop, they do not accept returns on their items, whether or not they're used or sealed. They do not accept returns. However, they will replace damaged items. So if you get a crushed eyeshadow or a broken liquid lipstick, they will replace damaged items. So you just have to reach out to their customer service and they'll send you out a replacement. But again, they do not accept returns. Now let's go ahead and talk about the packaging, because I think the packaging was done really well. And when I received my box, it was so well packaged. They use a foam insert inside their boxes to protect the eyeshadows, and that actually minimizes the possibility of having damaged products. Inside the box, they also include a little note that is a nice personal touch, along with a pamphlet detailing all of their products and giving information that you might find helpful. I also got a free 4-pan palette with my purchase. The eyeshadows come in a white sleeve with silver writing and silver stars. And on the back it says made in the USA, and it has the color-free symbol along with the manufacturing details. And on the front it does have the details about the sizing, which is 1.5 grams or 0.05 ounces. You can open up the envelope sleeve with the little tab fit, and inside the box is a beautiful purple shade. The eyeshadows themselves are housed in a plastic protective sleeve, again, which keeps them really secure. And the eyeshadows are just in magnetic pans with a white label on the back giving you the details of the eyeshadow shade name and the sizing. And I found a couple of my labels were askew or tilted, so I just removed them and replaced them. Inside, you can also get a free palette with a purchase of 4 eyeshadows, like I mentioned before. And the palette is a beautiful white design as well, with the stars, silver stars all over it. Inside is purple to go with the ColourPop theme, and it says Made You Look. And there are 4 openings for you to put your eyeshadows in. They have a little cutout for you to easily remove and replace the eyeshadows. And with the palette itself, I didn't like that it was such a thick palette. I did like the presentation, but I just wished it was a little bit more sleek. But they have released new empty magnetic palettes. I'm going to try to get my hand on one so I can test it out, see how I feel about it. But they do offer that alternative, so you can store the eyeshadows in that palette. And it's a really affordable price point at $7 for the magnetized palette. I do enjoy the packaging of most ColourPop products because they're in white, sleek packaging, and I really like this. So after all of that, let's go ahead and talk about the product and performance and what I think about the formula. Overall, I do enjoy the eyeshadow formula. There are only two finishes available, so you have a matte finish and then you have a metallic finish. Now, some of the metallic shades are a complete miss for me. They're a little bit chalky, a little bit choppy. They're a little bit on the chunky side, so a lot of them are kind of a miss for me, but there are a couple, just a couple, that are really beautiful, really shimmery, really intense, and I really like the couple that I like. But overall, I think the metallic shades, they do need to work on to keep it consistent throughout. For the matte shades, I really, for the most part, like most of the matte shades. The shade selection is going to depend on your own taste. So I may like the peachy pops of colors, the reds, the brown tones. There are some really great ivory tones in the collection. There's some nice blend and transition shades as well, but I find that they're lacking in the darker, deeper, like crease colors, like really deep, dark, smoky shades. They're really lacking in that department for their mattes. I think they can add to the collection, which they typically do anyway. ColourPop adds shades all the time, and I feel like they need to add, so like a nice rich black, a deep purple, like deep blues, navies, those kinds of deeper smoky tones. I think that would really help to round out the collection, but most of their shades tend to be on the medium tone range, which doesn't really appeal to the majority of us. Some of us want some deeper smoky tones. And then the ivory shades, I feel like they need a little bit more depth to them as well, so they can suit darker skin tones. So I think overall the shade selection can be worked on, but I am not too worried about it because ColourPop, like I said, always adds shades to their collection. Just they keep adding as they go on and as they improve the formula. But I will mention that the eyeshadows are more loose than other formulas. They're a dustier formula, so you're gonna get a lot of kickback from the product. And just from swatching them, I had a lot of like excess kick up and fallout, so you're gonna need to work carefully with these. Tap off your brushes, really press the eyeshadow into the bristles before you apply them to the eyes. But even though they're powdery, kind of like Lorac Pro palette eyeshadows, even though they're a little bit powdery and more loose, they still apply beautifully to the skin without skipping or without being patchy or chalky. And that for me is what really sells me on an eyeshadow formula. If it's a little bit powdery and dusty, I'm okay with it because I can just tap off my brush as long as it performs well. And these do perform well. And they don't just fade away or dust away because of that powderiness. And I found with powdery eyeshadows, like my Makeup Geek eyeshadows, some of them are a little bit powdery, a little bit dusty, and they don't really play well on the eyes. And throughout wear, they actually fade away because they're not really sticking well to my eyelids, even if I apply a primer. With these ColourPop eyeshadows, I found that that wasn't a problem. They stuck really well. Even if I didn't apply a primer, they stick really well. Over a primer, they apply really well. They perform much better, of course, as most eyeshadows do over a primer. And I didn't get any fading, any patchiness. They applied well and they build beautifully. So I really do like the formula, but I must warn you about that powdery, loose fallout mess that they can create. So overall, I do like the eyeshadows. There are some that are serious misses, particularly the metallic shades, and there are a couple of shades in there with like the chunkier glitter that I didn't like as much. But overall, I do like the shades. I just think they could do better with the shade selection, which I'm sure they're going to be working on. And I think it's a great collection to select trendy shades from or select neutral tones from to add to your collection. It's an easy way to build your own customized palette with shades that you will use every day at a pretty affordable price point. So I do like the eyeshadows, and I will go ahead and leave an asterisk beside the ones that I really truly enjoy. And I will even insert a little overlay here of these eyeshadows. Now these are the ones that I picked out that I really like. As you can see, there are some ivory tones, some medium tone like tan blend-in shades, like transition shades, and then pops of color and some peachy tones. Like I said, they did really well with their warmer, corally, peachy, pink shades. They did really well with those, and these are more trendy tones, So I would like to see a little bit more gray tones, a little bit more neutral tones, and some deeper shades. But overall, these are the ones that I would suggest getting because I really like these. So I separated these out, and I'll insert a little overlay so you can see the ones that I recommend. But they're also listed in the description box. And I will also leave timestamps down below and the order of the shades that I swatched, so you can easily jump ahead in the video to whatever color you're looking for. And I will also leave links to my Instagram and Twitter page where you should definitely be following me along. And hopefully this video was helpful for you guys, because I know with online brands it's difficult to kind of gauge which colors you want to try out because there are not many swatches available and you can't swatch them in store. So you kind of have to eyeball it and figure out what shades you want based on the shade description and the swatches they provide. So hopefully my video was helpful in determining if, first of all, if you want to try these eyeshadows out at all, and if you do, what shades you want to go ahead and pick up for yourself. And if you did like this video, then go ahead and give me a thumbs up to show your appreciation. And if you aren't already subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I'll talk to you. Bye guys.